life is happening today, but we are persevering on.
Life is really happening.
It's really
okay,
happening.
so when you were to this podcasting thing,
yeah.
do you know what? I think the hardest thing is trying to like not let how you're feeling enter the chat.
No, but it's really that though. It's really that
difficult, man.
But also, we really want to give the people their best. Like we really just want to
put our best foot forward.
Yeah, we really are. We're really trying to do that.
This is the one.
So, guys, welcome to another episode of Lost Patriots. We are back again with another, I think, heavier but important topic of.
Can we love Britain?
Oh, Lord.
So basically, we've tried to do this so many times, but I actually think we're triggering ourselves.
Yeah, it's a hard topic.
It's a hard topic. For me, I definitely love Britain. I definitely feel like a patriot. But we've been having this conversation off camera, and it's been testy. Yeah, quite a few times. It has
because it's so loaded. There's so much to it.
Yeah, it's a very emotional question. And it's a question that we can either approach kind of logically or emotionally. Yeah. I think we need to do both.
I think in the balance, and for me, like, I want to love Britain. Like, I want to love the country that I live in. I want to be proud to call myself British. But on so many times, I feel like Britain has been the partner that has let me down. And it's hard. It's hard to move past that feeling of loving something that doesn't love you back.
You think it doesn't love you back?
Sometimes it can feel that way.
Yeah,
it can feel
I definitely hear that.
Britain can constantly just decide that at any minute it's going to reject you and then eject you thereafter.
A country ultimately is more than the sum of its parts, isn't it? Like, it's not just the individual institutions and people and organizations and yada, yada, yada that make it up. It's how you feel connected to that country, to that nation, to that society.
Yeah, it's a feeling.
It's a feeling.
It's a feeling of pride.
And the feeling right now is generally one of, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah, like when I think about Britain, I think about tension. I feel restless. I feel unsettled, but at the same time, I feel at peace. Yeah, I feel at home. I feel calm. I feel welcomed. I feel open. I feel expressive. So it's a hard question to answer in like a simple statement.
Do you think it's harder for minorities to answer that question?
I would say so. I would say that the lion's share majorities, one thing we do all share is a common past, a common history that unites us all in that feeling of finding it difficult to identify as British.
Yeah, and I guess also as minorities, especially in the last 20, 30 years or so, we've been taught that this country isn't safe for us. Yeah. And that it never has been, and more importantly, that it never will be.
Yeah, yeah. But I'm really proud of you, though, and I say this like with as much joy as I want for myself.
Sweet. Why?
Yeah, because for me, you're somebody who's able to look at the past, accept it for what it is, and still find a way to move forward. I mean, off camera, you've also told me that you actually are proud to be British.
Yeah, I am proud to be British. I kind of see, the relationship that we have with our countries in the same way that we kind of have a relationship with ourselves as well. Like, I think I'm like that. You do have to learn to maybe not forget the past, but maybe let go of it a little bit in order to redefine your relationship with something or someone. So yeah, I feel like I can accept Britain's turbulent history and to some degree make peace with it.
So are you able to, like, for me and maybe for everybody else listening, give us some reasons as to why you love being British or like living in Britain?
I feel like I've benefited from the education system. I can be a woman in this country. I can be bisexual. And these are freedoms that were hard won. But right now in this present time and place, I think we can really take for granted the fact that we have access to those things.
No, you're right. No, I agree with you. I do think there is something very proud about having a national health service. I think that's something that Britain should be very proud of. And I know it has its challenges, but I think that happens when anything that grows to a particular scale. It's called diseconomies of scale, where things get too big and they become inefficient. But I think for the most part, it's a really proud thing that Britain should be, celebrating. Education is slightly more testy, I think, because I think it's failed a lot of people. But I think in its inception and its idea that everybody has access to education is a beautiful idea.
Yeah, and I do want to be fair. It's failed a lot of people. It hasn't just failed, immigrants. It's failed British people as well.
Yeah, this is true.
you know, if we're going to make comparisons, it's also important to make comparisons where, you know,
that's fair. That's facts.
We get an education here.
Yeah.
We get an education here.
Yeah.
So what do you think is the main reason as to why we can't kind of accept Britain?
This British identity.
Yeah.
I think a lot of us are stuck in the past.
Uh-huh.
You introduced me, what's the philosopher's name? Hannah Arendt. Is that her name? You know a bit more about it than I do, so probably you should introduce her as a philosopher, because I think she's quite relevant here.
Yeah, Hannah Arendt she saw herself more as a political theorist than a philosopher, but she was a German Jew who really came from a German strand of philosophy where they're really interested in morality. And she wrote a lot about totalitarianism, the rise of authoritarianism, and of course for a German Jew in the Second World War, somebody who escaped the Holocaust, and somebody who really felt German as well as Jewish, the idea of forgiveness was really central in her work. And it was a thing that she really faced a lot of backlash towards as well. She was quite a controversial figure in some ways, but I think forgiveness itself is quite controversial because it denies you it denies you the ability to use a lack of agency in your kind of accepting of a situation and being able to move beyond it.
I think she was the person who said forgiveness is to set a prisoner free and then to realize that the prisoner was you. And I think there's something about this idea that you're talking about, of this idea of forgiveness, where forgiveness feels like submission. It feels about conceding and concession. But forgiveness is really about rebellion.
Yeah.
It's really about the refusal to be defined by your pain and your wound, and to allow yourself power over yourself and no one else.
Yeah, exactly. And this is kind of something we were talking about in the last episode as well, when we were talking about left and right, where the right, you know, this is kind of how it's framed. The right really wants you to pull yourself up by your bootstraps and move on, whereas the left really want you to kind of see yourself in this position of, you know, like, how do we give everybody an equal outcome? But actually, we can only be defined by how much we are willing to let go of the things that have happened to us and seek to rise above those circumstances.
100%.
And we could argue, you know, that, you know, life sometimes gives a certain group, a certain individual more lemons.
Yeah.
But actually, how in a country like Britain, where we do have access to so many freedoms, how can I think this is a country where we can actually shed ourselves of those, you know, of that pain and turn it into something beautiful and freeing.
Yeah, I agree with you. I do think sometimes, though, in Britain, there are incidences that remind us of the past. I think the Windrush scandal was one of the most recent ones where we're a bit like, oh my gosh, like, come on, again, you know, like that was a horrible reminder of Britain's past. But I think there is something about acknowledging that forgiveness is acknowledging that the past has shaped you, but it doesn't define you. And I think there's something about allowing yourself to understand the past, to forgive and not forget, but to use it as wisdom and not a weapon.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's the only way we're going to really change our attitude to, you know, our home at the end of the day. Britain is our home. And I do really struggle with when people say that they hate this country. Yeah. I do kind of feel, well, we do have agency to leave.
Yeah, it's true.
We do. We can leave whenever we want. Yeah. Why do we choose to stay? If this is, you know, it's like in any relationship, right? An abusive relationship. If you truly feel like the person is abusive, the best thing to do is leave. So in that case, why would we stay in a place that harms us? I think the only reason why we should be staying in a country like Britain is because we feel there is actually a benefit and a joy to living that here. If we can't accept that, I think it's, you know, this is like we're actually playing we're only going to lose this game. Yeah.
So you're basically saying there is an opportunity to always interrupt the past 100%. And redefine our present. Yeah. I agree with you almost, but I do think it's easier said than done, just upping and leaving somewhere that you grew up in. It's easier to leave, you know, the example you gave of an abusive relationship and find a new house and move down say down the road.
I'm not saying it's easier. I'm saying that that's the thing that we have to do.
You're saying that regardless of how tough it is, you shouldn't choose to sit in a position of pain.
Yeah, that can't be the thing that defines us. Whereas if we feel like there is an opportunity to grow and to excel, then we need to really be reframing, you know, the lens through which we see our relationship with this country.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I think Hannah also spoke about this idea of grievance and grievance being addictive. And I think sometimes today, and I talk about myself when I say this, it can be easier to define yourself by your pain. And it becomes some sort of an identity to resent this country. It becomes some part of who you are.
Yes.
And to say that I'm not British almost feels like I'm betraying myself in saying that.
Yeah, and it feels, and not just ourselves. I guess it feels like it's betraying our ancestors to say that we love this country because our ancestors have been through this, and therefore we need to continue defining our relationship to this country based on past transgressions. But what about Britain being the country abolishing the slave trade?
Yeah.
What about Britain being a country with actually some of the most open borders in the world? You can be gay here, you can be from all walks of life and still find groups and people who will accept you.
Yeah.
You know, we need to stop defining also like our country based on politics that happened, 100, 200 years ago. We also really need to be able to live in the present.
It's ultimately, it's not good for ourselves. Like, trauma leaves an imprint, and I think there is something about allowing yourself to let the past go to define something that is better for ourselves in the future. I think you're absolutely right about this idea of feeling this need to gain vengeance for what happened in the past.
Yeah.
But sometimes, when is vengeance gained, and when is enough enough? When do you get the chance to say that actually, today I'm going to choose to feel different. I'm going to choose not to fight, but to learn. I'm going to choose to forgive, but not forget.
Exactly. So, can we love Britain? That's the question we posed to you.
Well, I think there's one more point I'd like to make on this point. When I think of Britain, I think about community. I think about my neighbours, and I think there's something challenging around this idea of reality in Britain. I think we're all struggling with that idea of reality because we're so much attached to our phones, and that is also really part of our reality. And it creates this distorted view of what is real and what is not, and what is happening and what isn't. Bearing in mind much of what you see on online will be outrageous, will be very tribal, and will be fed to you by your algorithm. So whatever you seek is what you'll be fed. But I do wonder around if we want change, and I think some of us do want things to feel differently, how we invoke that within this community. How do we go around trying to galvanize our community to invoke that change? Because right now, I don't think the way that we're trying to get it is really working for most people. No,
I agree. And I think we're going to answer, or not answer, but we're going to touch on this in our next episode as well.
Ooh.
And also we've touched it in our last episode, where we actually have to kind of break three out of these dichotomies within politics and within culture. And nothing is absolute, nothing is fixed. There is space for different ideas and belief systems, and that is one of the amazing things about Britain. Yeah. So I guess to answer your question, you love Britain, and I'm learning to forgive it. We love that. Okay. Thanks, guys.